Hello, this is Chris, and today we're going to look at how we can set up relief text, stencil text, and engrave text. Now, in order to do that, we need some text. Because I'm really not fond of just a few selections, I've gone ahead and created an SVG file with some text on it that we're going to use. So let's select that first. And now we'll wait for it to load. It is the right size. And it does take a moment or two, unfortunately. And it's going to show up here in just a second. So there we have Tinkercad. Let's make this a little bit lighter color so it's easier to see. That should be fine. Now, let's move this out of the way for just a moment. First, we want to see how big it is. So it is 20.87 by 136. So we'll just move this off to the side. And now we're going to put our material that we're going to be working on. So we'll make this 150. Now, what we don't need is to waste a lot of material. So let's make this a little bit thinner. Let's take this down to about 5 millimeters. Okay. Now let's create a combined image here. So we're going to make this centered. It didn't like that very well, so we'll highlight it again. We're going to align it. And there we have it centered. Now, I don't want to group this right now. I'm going to wait and do that in just a minute. Okay, so we have this one centered. And now what we need to do is make copies of it. So we hit Control D. And let's arrow this down. And we'll hit Control D again. And there we have our 3. Now let's look at this from the home view. Okay, we know that this is 5. And we know that this lettering is 10, but we don't want it that raised up for our relief text. So let's change the height on this to about 7. That way we know the red area is 5, and if we make this 7, then we should be fine. Now let's highlight all of this, and we're going to weld it in place. Look at it back from the top, and we'll see that this is now in relief. It is raised up. So for the next one, we're going to make this one a stencil. I want to look at it from the side, so we'll bring it around. I'm going to bring this the wrong way. Okay, so what we want to be able to do is look through this to see where our letters are. Now, we know that the letters are touching on the bottom grid, but I have found that sometimes when we go to print this out, it's not quite as clean as it could be. So what I like to do to make a stencil is to take my material, take the letters, and I'm going to move them down just a little bit so I can see that they go all the way through. Now let's go back to the home view. we're going to take our lettering and we're going to turn it into a hole. And now we're going to highlight the whole thing and we're going to weld it together. And if we stand this up this way, we can see now that we see all the way through it. Now, I will tell you that this font is not the best in the world for making a stencil. It's very simple why it is. When you make this and you lift this piece off of your workbed, these pieces right here in the center of the A and the two pieces of the D are going to be left behind, so you're going to end up with a big A with a hole in it. You're also going to lose this little piece here as well. So this is not the best font if you're going to make a stencil. But if you're going to just engrave it, let's take a look at that. So we're going to want to go to the side again. This time we want to make the red piece transparent. So let's convert it to a hole. And now let's move our text. Instead of moving it down, let's move it up. Now once we've moved it up, we can go back to our home view. We can turn the red portion back to being solid. And now let's take the text and convert it to a hole. And hopefully it'll catch up again with us soon. Highlight the whole thing. And again, group it. Now when we look at this closely, we can see that this did not go all the way through, that it only goes part way through, so it is literally engraved into our material. So here we have the raised text or the relief text. Here we have stencil where it goes all the way through, and here we have the same in engraved. So that's how you do it. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be happy to try to answer them. I hope you have a great day.